Hi, Mark Robertson back with you talking about my book, Carrying Lawn Chairs, Youth Sports, and Other Parental Mindsets. And we begin each segment mentioning that the book is divided into two sections. The first part deals with parents and their kids in organized youth sports and all the problems they have with it, and how I really don't think there are answers to many of those problems. I wouldn't put very young people into organized youth sports. I think overall it's not good for them, and at the very least, it's unnecessary. And I wouldn't put anyone in organized youth sports, any child before age 10, maybe 12, maybe not at all. It's overrated, and I am not a fan of organized youth sports. I'm a sports fan. I like sports, but I think the organized youth sports scene in this country and around the world is not a good situation overall. And like I say, they can get in it when they're older, but very young, it's not good. Today's topic, the family. The second part of the book, I deal with subjects related to the parent-child dynamic and other areas other than organized youth sports and the family. That's the basic, the foundation of society, and it is under attack. My definition of a family, very simple. Mother, father, children. And now there are all sorts of other definitions. I'm not criticizing anyone who was raised in a single parent family or a single mother or father. It's a tough situation, or if your child raised by a grandmother or in an orphanage or whatever. But the ideal situation is a mother and a father. And I know there are many families that are dysfunctional and even dangerous with a mother and father, obviously. But it's still the best situation for a family. Those are situations that are not good, and they have to be dealt with. But the best situation for a family, as it has been throughout the history of the world, is a mother and a father, and that raises the strongest families. And like I say, there are many assaults on the families these days because a strong family doesn't allow leaders to control people, and it seems like today's families, though, even with the mother and the father and the children, they're under a lot of stress. Oh, we got to do all these things. We got to be at these things. We got to do all these organized youth sports. We got to have all these activities. Everybody's always worried about the future. We got to get these little Johnny and little Mary into good colleges. So we got to have them doing cards or flashcards at age 2. Got to get them in preschool and all this other stuff. Families really don't spend a lot of time together enjoying the present moment. They need to enjoy time together. You're just laughing, telling jokes, having fun, playing games, having meals together. Families don't really have meals together much anymore. Everybody's in such a hurry and on the run, and all this society, go, 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 go. And they run around in circles. I'm not sure it's a rat race, but I don't know who's winning the race here. It's just kind of a mess. And families don't take time to enjoy each other. I know there's a lot of stress. They're so fixated on the future. They're so worried about everything. They're so concerned about their kids. Even good parents, they're so obsessed by their kids getting ahead. Well, the best way to do that is to enjoy the present moment with them. Give them a sense of security and love in the family. They want to be loved by their parents. That's what they desire more than anything. And to be with their parents and enjoying the present moment and not being so concerned about the future. When you do that, you're actually telling them they are inferior. They can't just sit around and not sit around, but just be there and enjoy the present moment with their parents or in their house. And there's so much stress placed on them that they get kind of a skewed view of the world. And like I say, many forces in society are trying to break up the family, and many have. I mean, you have the welfare state basically has broken down the family in many ways, the federal government, and it gets in the way of raising families. Then you got your public schools, and you got the people who want it takes a village to raise a family. No, it takes a family to raise a family. It's not that complicated. And but they really want to undermine the family because it's a threat to their power. A successful family, kind of like successful churches. It's a lot of these tyrants, even in our country, see the family as a grave threat, and they're doing their best to undermine it and control them and brainwash the kids. Government schools do that. They tell them all these things, and they teach all this stuff, sex education, transgenderism, all this stuff has an effect and does harm the family. And one of the most devastating things for a family is divorce. Since the 50s, divorce has been rampant in the country. They say half of marriages end in divorce. And there are many reasons for it. The promiscuous society, sexually promiscuous society, Even people say that birth control has an effect on that, because it just gives people a false sense of security and ruins the family and things like that. So divorce is very devastating to kids. Their parents break up, they blame themselves, the kids do, a lot of times, and they carry that wound with them throughout their lives. No matter what people say, it's a tough situation. Divorce is never easy on the kids. No matter what they say, you hear people say, "Oh, they'll get over it, they'll adjust." No, they don't. It's not good. It's a very tough situation. One of the toughest situations, other than a very serious illness, for very young people. I mean, it's awful. It's devastating, and parents should do what they can to try to stay together. Being a parent is a sacrifice. It's joyful, but it's self-sacrifice. And a lot of times these divorces are about selfishness, and one or other, or both of the parents, wanting to live a life that they can't have everything, but they think they can. And so it's selfishness, and it's just so harms the kids. Divorce does. So it's not good. It's just and like I say, since about the no-fault divorce and all this other stuff, that's all these other attacks on the family have broken down the family, and it's been very harmful, from pornography to all the garbage and other media and things like this. It just has a negative effect on the family. And then you have things like drugs and alcohol and all these other effects as well. And they bring great harm to the family, and a lot of it is on purpose. Like I say, the tyrants know that the family is one of their greatest enemies, like the church is, and so they do all they can to tear it down. And in conclusion here, well, a major part of the family, God should be at the center of the family. I know somebody watching this may not think of the God that Christians think of, but they have a higher power. But my talk today is about God, the Christian God, and I'm not downgrading anyone that doesn't believe in the Christian God, but I think that a Christian God being a part of the family helps keep it together, and it's like the glue, and it's so helpful and it's so necessary, and it helps the biblical morals. A lot of times it's just learning them. You'd have to know what they are to follow them, and a lot of it not following them is just ignorance. And so God, the Bible, natural law, the family is a part of natural law, and it's just the answer to society, how things best operate. And it's not really that complicated. It's simple. Father Peyton, maybe a saint to be in the Catholic Church, says a family that prays together stays together, and I can't top that. That's a good way to start. It's a good foundation for the family. But like we say, the family is the foundation of society. It's under such assault these days. There's so many sinister forces going against it. The family, people think it changes. Well, no, it doesn't change. It doesn't evolve. The family is the same family it's been now as it was 1,000 years ago. It's a mother and a father and children. And like I say, a lot of people grow up in situations that aren't that, and many of them are fine people. But the best way to have a society is have a family with a mother and a father. And there are a lot of things that have to go on in families like those. There are a lot of those families. Nearly every family has problems and even bits of dysfunction, and it's not easy. But it's with God and prayer and a mother and a father, and looking at some self-sacrifice, actually wanting the best for your kids for their sake, is the way to go, and for society and for your own individual family. So the family is the foundation, and it always has been and always will be. We'll talk to you next time.